Today we are going to learn about electrostatics. Electrostatics is a very interesting branch of physics that deals with the phenomena and properties of so-called stationary or even slow-moving electric charges. To give an example of stationary electric charges, if you are somebody who has used a CRT monitor, one of those old type of monitors, you would have noticed that you would get a mild shock if you touch the screen of one of those monitors if they had been running for a while. The reason is that there's a certain amount of charge which accumulates on the screen of the monitor, and when you touch that screen, these charges suddenly flow through your body and give you a mild shock. Now these charges which accumulate on the screen are stationary charges, and electrostatics is that branch of physics which deals with the study of these stationary electric charges. We are first going to study about what is called Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law was first published by this dude called Charles Augustin de Coulomb in 1785, and it was essential to the development of the very important theory called the theory of electromagnetism. Before we jump into Coulomb's law, there are a few easy basic things which we need to learn first. Things like frictional electricity, the two kinds of charges, additive nature of charge, etc. This is the list. You see, these are essential concepts which would give you a very strong foundation for any form of physics, not only electrostatics. But as far as electrostatics is concerned, these concepts are very easy to understand, and once you do understand them, the rest of your electrostatics study would be a breeze. We'll first look at frictional electricity. A long time ago, in the year 600 BC, there was a cool philosopher, Greek philosopher named Thales. Now this dude observed a very interesting phenomenon. He observed that if we rubbed amber with a woolen cloth, amber would get a property of attracting other stuff like small bits of paper. Okay, now what the hell is amber? Amber is the hardened tree sap of some tree, particularly the pine tree. And an interesting thing to know is that the Greek word for amber is electrum. This word is attributed to be the root of electricity, electron, and all the other things which you associate with electric studies. Now let us jump 1000 years into 1600 AD and introduce our next character, one Dr. William Gilbert of England. Dr. William Gilbert. Now, this particular gentleman was fond of rubbing stuff. No, seriously, he rubbed a lot of stuff with other stuff and concluded that there are many substances like amber which acquire the property of attracting other stuff when rubbed with suitable substances. Just like with amber on the woolen cloth, through Dr. Gilbert's rubbing experiments, we now have this list. A list of pairs of substances. Glass rod rubbed with a silk cloth produces what is now called electric charge. Flannel or cat skin with an ebonite rod woolen cloth or amber like we have seen before, and even woolen cloth with rubber shoes produce the same effect. Now let us say we have all these items. Okay, we have all these items and we rub them with their corresponding substance. We rub the glass rod with the silk cloth, and we rub the flannel with the ebonite rod, and so on. So we have 8 things on our table. Now the interesting thing that researchers have found out is the glass rod also attracts rubber shoes. So does it attract amber, and the glass rod also attracts the ebonite rod. Similarly, the woolen cloth would attract all these items, and the ebonite rod would attract all these items, which led researchers like Dr. Gilbert to believe, quite correctly so, that the charges on these items was different from the charge on these items. The other important observation that the researchers made was that the items of the same group, of this group, repel each other. So the silk cloth would repel the ebonite rod would repel the amber, and so on. Similarly, the items on this group would repel each other too. So all these items, when rubbed with their subsequent substances, produce different type of charges. This was later termed as electricity. In fact, it was Dr. William Gilbert who is accredited to first use the word electricity. In fact, he is also regarded by some as the father of electrical engineering, or even electricity and magnetism. So what we get from all this is that when certain stuff is rubbed with certain other stuff, what we get is electricity. Now, the electricity which is developed on bodies when they are rubbed with each other is what is called frictional electricity. This is quite important, so let us just write it down. The electricity developed on bodies when they are rubbed with each other is called frictional electricity. Another thing to note is this. Suppose we have a piece of amber which is rubbed with a woolen cloth. It develops some charges. Now we'll just denote these charges by dots for now. Now these charges cannot flow in this body of amber. They are static. They just stay there. Because of this fact, this frictional electricity is also known as static electricity. And hence the term electrostatics.